It's just absolute perfection. Sounds play an important role in immersion in the world of sim racing, and RaceRoom Racing Experience offers some of the best sounds currently available. In this video, I'm going to share with you my top 5 best sounding cars in RaceRoom. So let's get into it. So in no particular order then, we start off with this, the Volkswagen Scirocco Group 2 car. Now this for me absolutely epitomises what a 4-cylinder touring car should sound like. It's just absolutely pure, unedited, raw, high revving engines. It's just naturally aspirated goodness. Now this thing, front wheel drive of course, but it revs up to an eye-watering 9,000 RPM, and when it gets there you just can't help but smile because it just sounds absolutely stunning. And because you have to give it some revs to actually keep the momentum through the corners, you spend a lot of your time in the 8,000 to 9,000 RPM range, and it's just pure bliss. It makes flipping on the downshift even more enjoyable when you hear that. But here at Zolder, this car is brilliant to drive, and it just sounds so good. I mean, it's not just the high revving nature of the engine as well. I mean, you've got all the other noises going on underneath, which just adds to the overall immersion and level of detail to the car itself. You can tell that it's got a proper racing gearbox in it because there's a little bit of transmission whine. It's just so good, and the sound samples mesh together nicely. There's no loops, there's no holes in the sound. It just all works. It's just absolute perfection. Oh, I love it. Okay, so moving on to car number 2, and this one may come as a little bit of a surprise. This is the DMD P20 P1 Prototype. Now this car isn't actually a real car. This is a fictional one added into the simulation by the team at RaceRoom. However, that doesn't mean that it can't sound great, because this thing is absolutely fantastic. Now it's running a V6 engine, again quite high revving, going up to 7,000, nearly 7,500 RPM when you hit the red line. But it sounds incredible, and it's not just the high revving nature again, but this time there's some other little details which just make it sound so good, and you can hear that mostly when you change gear. Now listen to this. There's that little flutter just after you change gear, and it just sounds incredible. Flipping sounds on the downshifts, but again all through the rev range this thing sounds so nice. Coming up through Maggots and Beckett's here at Silverstone, you really just can't fault the sounds on this car. It just sounds so good. I guess that's part of the benefit of having a fictional car. You can really just make it sound exactly like you want it to. But they've done a stunning job on this one. And it's not one that you would normally drive as well, so if you haven't driven it, go check it out, because your ears will love you forever. It's so nice. So if the last car was a little bit of a surprise, this next car certainly won't be. This, of course, is the BMW M1 Pro car. Perhaps universally renowned as being the best sounding race car of all time, which is quite easy to understand why when you listen to it, because first off it has this glorious 6-cylinder engine, which of course is naturally aspirated and high revving, which makes it sound absolutely amazing when it hits the red line. But it just howls. I mean, this car, you can hear it from miles off because it's got such a piercing sound. We're here at Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix circuit, trying to muscle this thing around some of the famous corners. But honestly, it's just perfect. I mean, obviously the BMW M1 Pro car features in various sims, all of which do a reasonable job of capturing the sound of this thing. But here on RaceRoom, you have such depth. I mean, it's not just the high revs which sound amazing, low revs as well sound equally as good. And when you put the throttle back down again after a corner, so let's try and pick it up through some of these corners here, it just sounds incredible. There's lovely rawness to it. Just like that, it's just, you know, it's just so nice. And obviously you've got the popping and banging on the overrun as well, which really sounds awesome. So when you come off the throttle, the car's making all sorts of noises at you, just enticing you just to put more throttle down and go again for one more lap. Just insanely good. So we're back in touring car mode for car number 4 because we're in this, the AMG Mercedes-Benz CClass DTM from 1995 to give it its full title. But this thing, again, is V6 powered, but it's a very different sounding V6 to that of the DMD Prototype. And there's a lot more in terms of transmission sounds going on with the DTM Mercedes. But it does sound awesome as well because you've got the flutter, which I love from the transmission as you change gear. But it's a very different sounding V6 and it sounds really, really nice. Down to the hairpin here at Hockenheim. The downshifting noises are amazing as well as it blips through the sequential gearbox. There's that constant build-up of transmission whine, so it kind of gets higher and higher pitched as you go, before you eventually have to slam on the anchors for the next corner. But again, great sampling all the way through the rev range. And it just all adds up to a really amazing experience of driving this car. I mean, obviously the car drives well anyway, but when you've got the sounds to go along with it, it really does make it seem even better of an experience to drive. Put the power on out of the Sachs curve there. So the tricky last couple of corners here at the Hockenheim ring. But this car is just so nice. It sounds amazing. Even better from the outside. Take a look. Now, I know I said this was in no particular order, however I have saved my absolute favourite till last. This is the Zaxby Capri Turbo Group 5 car, and it is an absolute animal. Obviously turbocharged from its little 4-cylinder engine, but there's so much boost that it just has power for days. Now, again, it's another high revving engine, and you may have noticed a little bit of a trend in that I do like a good high revving engine. But this one, again, it's got the bounce as you come out from one gear to another, and it's got the flutter as you change gear, but it also combines that with the wonderful turbo whistle from the wastegate as you change gear or lift off the throttle. You can see the boost gauge bouncing around to the left of the rev counter there. But it's just so good. This is so full on, there's so much going on. Not only in the sound, but also in the driving. But this thing is just on another level in terms of sounds for me. I just can't get enough of it. So there we have it. There are my top 5 best sounding cars in RaceRoom Racing Experience. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel. And also, if you really enjoy what we do, please do consider subscribing to the channel, and you'll get to see more videos as they come out. But please do let me know in the comments below what your favourite sounding car in RaceRoom is. I'd love to hear from you. But until then, we'll see you next time.